Before Jeff started working with me, his e-commerce brand was drowning in cash flow issues. Despite the fact that he had grown the brand to almost $5 million in annual revenue and had slight profitability, he still did not understand where his cash was going. And what he did discover too is that the more that he tried to scale his brand, the more cash was leaving his bank account. And he tried everything. He tried cutting random expenditures, he tried delaying payments, but he still could not get a grasp on where his cash was going. So we started working together. We discovered 4 critical aspects of his business that were leaking cash flow, and we were able to button that up within 4 months to turn his business into cash flow positive, giving him the ability to build up a cash reserve and to start to scale his brand. So if you're an e-commerce brand owner, sit tight. I'm gonna go through the exact 4 critical leaky buckets that we discovered in his business that could be true for you as well. Number 1, because he was having cash flow issues, he got the email from Shopify Capital that he could get $650,000 in funding, and it's easy. You click a button and all of a sudden you have liquidity into your business. Now, what he did not anticipate and was the fact that from here on out, his deposits were going to be 17% less. So this is one critical aspect, which is understanding debt that you are taking on within your business and not forecasting that correctly. And so when he used that liquidity, now his business was actually making less cash because they were automatically taking that from every single deposit that he did not bake into his actual forecast when he decided to take this loan, and it was taken out of desperation. And so that was the first piece that we discovered, and a lot of companies do go this route, and it can be beneficial for your company, but you just have to understand the implications. Now, it is very expensive capital and you don't have much flexibility with it. Once it's in place, it's in place. And so that's one of the aspects that I don't like about that. So with those types of loans, and again, they can be band-aids in a short term, but what I have seen is when companies start taking them, it's hard to get off that train. Like you buy that ticket and it's hard to jump off because that train does not stop. And when you extrapolate that out and you take the fee and how long you have access to that capital, if you were to back into what that APR is, it would shock you. It's extremely high. So the first thing that we did was we went to a bank and got a traditional line of credit with a solid APR. We had you have flexibility with the traditional line of credit. Now, you might not get as much, but we got enough that would solidify. So we got him off of the Shopify Capital just in time. He had a business line of credit that he could tap into, pay it back, tap into. He always had access to that with a way lower APR, and there was a lot more flexibility in place with that. So that was the first thing that we implemented into his business. Now, caveat, again, I'm going back to those work for some companies. If you truly understand what you're going to deploy that capital for, you truly understand that your deposits are going to be less, then you forecast that out and you're like, okay, we're taking it specifically for this. Once it's paid off, we're good. Our business is in a healthy state. Then kudos to you. But that wasn't the case here. The other thing that we dug into was inventory management. So we discovered that based on MOQs that he had to order from the manufacturer, that he was sitting on a bunch of dead inventory. But when that inventory got low, he would have to order minimum order quantity for particular SKUs that would then sit there for a long time, and he was sitting on a bunch of dead inventory, and that's just eating up cash. So we raised the yellow flag and brought this to his attention. And so we created, sales to move that dead inventory. We went back to the manufacturer because he had a great relationship with them to renegotiate the minimum order quantities on specific SKUs. Now, that might not be the case, but if you don't ask, you don't know. Most manufacturers, if you got a good relationship with them, are willing to work with you. And so that's what we deployed in his business. And so now when we place these POs, we have demand forecasting. We understand based on our sales of what's coming out, what we forecasted, the inventory that we're going to need, especially with seasonalities, when we're going to have promotional periods, we know that we're going to need more, and we have that spaced out. So we're shipping this inventory in time when we need it. We're not deploying too much cash, but we're doing enough that we know we're not going to run out of inventory to affect scales. So that was number 2, was getting inventory management really, really dialed in. And the fact that if we are sitting on dead inventory, move it however you can, because it's just going to be sitting there. You've already paid for it. It's eaten up your cash already. So we wanted to convert that back into cash as quickly as possible. Okay, so number 3, payment terms and balance, like his cash conversion cycle. So there was a wholesale aspect of his business. Well, the agreements within those wholesale contracts were going out 60, sometimes 90 days that he would get paid. Now, his manufacturer got paid at time of shipment. We are able to negotiate, he had some manufacturers that would negotiate about a 15-day, but he was paying for the inventory and not getting paid for 2 to 3 months. And so we went back to the wholesale agreements and renegotiated that, gave them a little bit of a discount if it was paid within 15 days, went back to the manufacturer and again, renegotiated with them. And we were able to extend our payment terms a little bit. So we closed that gap where now he's not the bake. He's not funding the inventory and waiting, sitting on that cash that's left his account and waiting for that cash to come back in. So that was number 3. Again, this is going back to negotiating, but fully understanding where the leaky buckets are so that you can approach both sides and renegotiate those terms to put yourself in a healthy position to continue to run your business, because there's nothing worse than having cash flow issues. That is going to keep you up at night. You're going to be looking at your financials and saying, feels like I'm running a successful business, but I don't know where this cash is going. And so when we brought that to his attention, we were able to do some renegotiating and, like I said, close those gaps. The 4th thing that we did discover was his 3PL. So one aspect was shipping expense. So he had one warehouse, which was on the East Coast, when 55% of his orders were coming from the West Coast. And so the cost and the time delay, so we're talking about customer service as well, to ship over there was above benchmarks that we have seen. That was one in terms of the 3PL. And then 2 was the storage fees, because he was sitting on this inventory. And so, when we moved that inventory, that decreased the storage fees, but then we negotiated to move part of that inventory over to a different facility that was closer to the West Coast, that drastically decreased his shipping expenditures, got it to the customers in a shorter amount of time, and increased his customer service and customer retention. And so as we looked at all of those, we implemented this plan, and literally within 4 months, we've taken him to a cash positive business. Now, it sounds easy in this video, but it was a lot of work to get there. Now he's on a healthy trajectory. Now he has more profitability, more cash that he can deploy for customer acquisition, which then feeds into his ability to grow his business. So if your e-commerce brand is struggling with cash flow issues, despite showing good numbers on your P&L, this is not something that you need to figure out alone. In my company, we help specialize in D2C brands to bring the metrics, bring the KPIs, and to give you clarity into your business on how you can scale, how you can maximize your profitability, and how you can grow your company. Now, a lot of people will just give you this, click this link, you're going to get a template and you're going to fill this out. But within D2C brands, there are so many nuances. Like, I could provide you a template and you can enter numbers, but are you entering the right numbers? Are you fully understanding the impact? Are you fully understanding how they are all connected? If so, kudos to you. But I'm always leery of just sending out a template to you as a lead magnet, because it might not point you in the right direction of where you need to look or where you might be headed without us having a conversation with you and doing a little bit, just one level deeper dive into your business to fully understand what is happening, because there are so many aspects that could be eating cash that you're just not thinking about. So if that is you, you can leave a comment below. I will reply. You can go to our website, book a call with me. I'm more than happy to jump on a phone. Don't worry, not a sales call. Let's just talk, have a conversation about your business. Here to help, and hopefully you got some value out of this video.